Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's webcast on collaborative workforce. My name is Dave Archbold. I'm one of the managed services specialists here at Visual, working predominantly within the public sector team. And joining me on today's call is Alex Egar, who's our business productivity practice lead. Now, the agenda for today's webcast is I'm going to do some very quick introductions into kind of who Visual are, what we do. Alex is then going to take over and look at what is a collaborative workforce and what issues do users face. We'll then be collaboration users cases and demos, and then we'll then look at how Visual may be able to help, and we'll open it up to any questions and answers. Now, just before we start, there's a little bit of webcast maintenance that I'd just like to go through with you this morning. For the purpose of today's call, we've actually muted everybody's phones, just really to eliminate any background noise. If anybody does have any questions throughout the kind of main body of the presentation, please feel free to use the IM functionality within Link, or if you dialed into the call manually, please feel free to drop an email through to inquiries@visual.com. At the end of the call, as I say, we will open it up to any questions, so we'll take everybody off mute then, and please feel free to shout out if there's anything that you'd like us to perhaps delve a little bit deeper into. We're also recording today's webcast, so if you've got any colleagues who you think may have benefited from being on today's call and haven't been able to join, or if you want to go back and review it at a later date, we'll be sending out a link to everybody after today's call. So hopefully people are on today's call because they've heard of Visual, they've worked with us in the past. If you haven't, I'd, as I say, like to do a very quick overview as to who we are and what we do. So Visual are 100% Microsoft focused. We're a customer-centric organisation, so we see the customer at the heart of everything that we do, and we provide consulting and managed services to help build and support innovative Microsoft solutions. As an organisation, what we want to do is really help customers leverage the value from the investments that they've made in Microsoft technologies. And to be able to do that, we're a tier 1 Microsoft partner. We're a gold partner across an awful lot of the workloads. We were, back in November, headline sponsors of Microsoft's main UK event, Future Decoded. And if you haven't seen our corporate video, please go and check it out on YouTube, because we're just about over 100,000 views at the moment. Now, how is our business set up? Visual split the organisation into kind of 3 distinct departments. First of which is our consulting side. For consulting, we look at, first of all, kind of technical consulting, where Visual as a company cover the vast breadth of Microsoft technologies. We're quite unique in the fact that we can cover all Microsoft technologies, but we're proud that we're still specialists in each individual area. So our consultants are split into business productivity, which is things like CRM and SharePoint, unified comms and messaging, which is anything link or exchange related. Systems management can be System Center and things of that ilk. And then we've got identity and access perimeter, which is things like Forefront Identity Manager, and kind of Active Directory Federation services would sit in there. We've now got an application development team as well, so we can do bespoke applications. And our consultants in each of these individual practices only look after SharePoint, for example. So they wouldn't be doing SharePoint one day and Link or Exchange the other. They have their own specialities. Now, as well as doing the technical consultancy, we also want to help businesses, again, leverage the value from the Microsoft investment. And to do this, we can look at strategic consulting for you. Whenever we're working with customers on bigger projects, we always like to attach an engagement manager who are our kind of project managers. They'll tie in all the different practices, and they can really help you accelerate getting the benefit out of what you've got in place at the moment. We've also got architecture sitting within this group who can help you design and develop how your infrastructure may look in the future, and again really help you leverage the benefit from your Microsoft technologies. So the consulting side of our business really helps you identify what Microsoft technologies may be best for you. We help you design and plan, build and test, and then implement them. And we've got engagement managers and architects who can help tie this project in together. So when we're looking at transformational pieces of work, we can really take you from the very start to the very finish. And this is where the services side of the business comes in. So what we don't want to do is help you set up the fantastic Microsoft technologies that are available and then just leave you on your own to support them. We've got a full services business, so we can offer fully managed solutions, be it on-premise, in the cloud, or hybrid combination. We can offer both proactive and reactive support, and we can do as much, or we can help as much or as little as you need us to. Now, as an organisation, it's really important for us that we see IT being at the heart of positive change. So what we do when we go out to market is we've got three distinct propositions that we like to talk to customers about. The first is really about how they engage with their citizens or customers, and how they're connecting with them on a day-to-day basis. So to this end, we've got our connected business strategy, and really it's about making sure that your staff have the right information at the right time and in the right place to be able to follow your own engagement strategy and engage with the customers in the way that you think is going to be best. So once you've got your engagement strategy in place, it's really important that we empower the workforce to be able to go on and follow the engagement strategy that we've got. To this end, we've got our end user computing strategy, and really it's about making sure that the workforce is empowered to follow your engagement strategy. So if you want your staff connecting with people in kind of local areas, do we need to give them smartphones? Do we need to give them tablet PCs? Do they need laptops? Can we reduce the travel that they're going backwards and forwards to the office by introducing things like Link? So it really follows on from the engagement strategy to making sure that your staff are empowered. And once your staff have got the right tools and are empowered to be able to follow the strategies that you're putting in place, it's critical that we make sure that we've enhanced your infrastructure so that it can cope with all the strategies that you're putting in place further on along the line. And to this end, we've got our optimized service vision. So it's looking at whether you might be best moving into the cloud. Again, having a hybrid approach is some information that we perhaps need to keep on site for information governance and security reasons. So a hybrid approach, or do things need to be on premise? So what I'd like to do now is just pass over to Alex, who will kick off with the main body of this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, David. So just a very quick introduction from me. So I'm the practice lead for our business productivity practice at Visual. We've got 9 business productivity consultants within that practice at the moment, and we specialise in SharePoint, business intelligence, Yammer, and general Office 365. I personally have been a SharePoint consultant for 9 years now. I still get involved in project delivery as well as managing the team as well. So we've put together this webinar as an opportunity to not talk specifically about one particular product that we manage within our practice, but more to give you an example, or to talk about an example of how those products can be used collectively to solve some of the issues that we see people face. So the title of the webinar, collaborative workforce. First slide is really what do we mean about that? So the collaborative workforce, as far as Visual is concerned, is making people feel connected with their peers and colleagues, and making sure that all the information they require is close at hand, but also easily found. Also need to make sure that the completion of processes and tasks on a day-to-day basis within the workplace is simplified, which means we can increase productivity for people and also reduce the sort of frustration that people feel sometimes. With all this in place, we can start to foster a culture of knowledge sharing and innovation with the organisation, where people actually start to contribute more and give more within the business, but also get more from it as well. And the idea is we can use the products that a lot of people have got available within their Microsoft subscriptions to deliver this sort of an environment. So some of the common issues that we hear people talk about when we're talking about this sort of area. The first is knowing where to locate the necessary resources and information to complete daily tasks. So people know the information is probably out there within the business, but it's very difficult to know where to start looking, and it's difficult to find the information that they need. That might be people, that might be documents, that might be references, doesn't really matter. It's just the sorts of resources and information they need. People are often working within multiple systems as well. So some people have got case management systems, you've got email, you've got line of business applications. People are dipping in and out of these applications all the time. They've often got different user interfaces, and often they've got different content repositories as well. So different data information is stored in different places, in different systems, and it's not always joined up. In fact, it's quite often not joined up. There's no overarching way to manage this. People still often will rely on email for collaboration. And what that means is people are sending attachments backwards and forwards along with updates and messages. People are getting lost in the number of versions, the number of attachments that they've got to manage, and it quite quickly gets very messy for people. And really the reason that happens is for the next point, that there's not really a central workspace for teams to interact and collaborate together. That single place for people to come together, share information and work is really what's missing, and it kind of underpins this collaborative workforce idea. The last bit on there is when people are given a task or have something to do and it involves more than one person, often they'll be forced to work in a sequential way with that. So I'll do my bit, you do yours, they can do theirs, then I'll pick it up and do my bit again. And there's not often a way for people to work in parallel to kind of expedite the process and make things more efficient. Again, something that we try and we're trying to look at in terms of this collaborative workforce approach. So, got here some collaboration use cases. Really, there are more than this, but these three that we pulled out here are the ones that we're going to try and address in the demonstration that we look at, and these are kind of the most common, I guess. So the first one is that idea of being able to locate the people and the information that you need to solve a problem or complete a task that you've got. So how can we make that better, simpler? Then we've got the requirement to create new content, whether that's a document, a report, a presentation. Each organisation is probably going to have its own sort of content that it's going to need to create. But how do we create that in conjunction with other people? We know that when we've got that to do ourselves, it's very straightforward. We're the only one that needs access to the document or the report. We can work on it. When it's finished, we can then hand that out. But it's when we're working with other people that this often gets a bit more complicated. And then sharing knowledge and information with colleagues, with the organisation and with third parties. So when I want to get something out there for feedback or to share when it's finished, often that can be difficult as well. And as you'll know, we often end up falling back to the email approach, sending attachments around, and people getting lost in versions again. So these are the user cases that we're going to kind of focus on today. So just a bit of a quick overview for the demonstration. So a lot of the focus of the demonstration will be around SharePoint functionality. Now, some of you may well already be familiar with this, but just in case you're not, that there are two options for SharePoint currently if you want to use that product. One is to have your own on-premise SharePoint environment, which means you own it, you host it internally, and you manage it. Or you can go for Office 365, which is Microsoft's cloud solution. This includes SharePoint Online, along with other products like Exchange and Yammer, and that's all managed by Microsoft. So we'll be completing this demo in Office 365, just because that's what we use internally at Ritual. We'll be focusing on. Oh, sorry, I think. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, so we'll be completing the demonstration in Office 365, and the demo will mainly focus on SharePoint, Exchange, and Yammer. So a lot of what we will go through will focus on SharePoint, and it will be available in SharePoint on-premise as well. If what we're showing you in Office 365 isn't available in SharePoint on-premise, I'll try and point that out as we go along, because I understand, some people, a lot of people are still using SharePoint on-premise and haven't moved to Office 365 yet. A lot of similarities, and I'll try and point out as we go along if there are any differences. So can I just check before we start the demonstration? I'll just share my desktop, and if you can tell me just confirm whether or not you can see that. 1 moment. So if somebody could just bring me a quick message just to say if they can see that desktop view, you should be able to see. Thanks, David. Perfect. Okay. So we'll base the demo around a common scenario. I've talked about the use cases, but a general sort of scenario. So we're going to imagine that I've been asked to create an internal report on information governance because we've got some new compliance requirements. So basically, I'm going to walk through the sorts of steps, etc., that I might take in order to do that, and show you how the Office 365 SharePoint tools can be used to sort of simplify that process. And hopefully you'll see that compared to the more traditional way of getting all the information, creating the information, sharing the information, that through the Microsoft experience, it's much more streamlined and much simpler, and it's easy for people to do. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is actually have a look and see if we've got any information or resources already available within the organisation around that topic, information governance. So I've done a bit of research, and I know that there's a few areas I'm probably going to have to look at: information management, document management, that sort of thing. So I'll go to my intranet. This is our internal visual intranet, and I'll do a search, see what information we have available. So within our search area, I'll put an EDRMS because I'm pretty sure that my information governance report is going to have to cover some information on that. This takes me to our SharePoint Search Center, which covers all of our internal content. Within there, I can see that we've done some projects on EDRMS, so that's going to be quite interesting, so I can come back to that later on and maybe find out who was involved in those projects. I can see we've got some presentations around EDRMS, and you'll see that I get a little flyout here. I'm actually able to preview that presentation if I want to, just to see. Yep, that looks like it could be useful. Again, that looks like it's probably customer focused, so I'm not sure that's it's going to be the right information for me to use. If I go over to the left-hand side here, I can see I've got some refinement panels, so I can actually start to drill down through the search results that I've got here. So if I want to try and get rid of some of the customer content and actually look what we've got within our practices around document management, then I'll come over here and I'll choose the practice document content type, and that's going to filter things out. Right, so this starts to look a bit better for me in terms of the information that I'm going to need. Yep, I've got some presentations here on taxonomy, that's pretty good. Information lifecycle, that looks like that could be spot on. That's just the sort of information I'm going to need for an information governance report. I can scroll through this as well like I could with a presentation. Yeah, all that content looks just what I'm after. So now I can see now that I've got plenty of information internally to start supporting me in creating this report that I've got to do. Now if I go over here, you'll see I've also got the option here to start looking for people as well. So whilst I've been able to search for EDRMS in terms of the content we have, I can also see if there's anybody in the organisation that might actually be able to help me with that as well. So I'll click on people, and yep, we've got a couple of people here. I've got Patrick Fagan and Matt Ruprock, and then in there asking me about within their SharePoint profile, they've got EDRMS. That's a pretty good bet that that person is going to be able to help me with some of this information that I'm going to have to pull together for this report. Now, I can see here with my link integration that Patrick, he's not available at the moment, but he's online. So I think what I'll probably do is I'll ping him an instant message and just see if he can help me out here. The other option I would have if he was offline would be to send him an email, excuse me, from the same panel, and that'll just bring up the email for me to fill in. I don't have to go jumping around between different applications and opening new applications up. So I'll click here. Here we go. Oh, Patrick's been helping me out as I've been going along there on the presentation. So I'll just send Patrick a quick email. Just see if you can help me out. Sorry to bother you. You got a minute? For a question. Okay, so I want to say I'm doing a report on information governance. I'm sure you'll forgive my typing. He knows I'm in a hurry. So hopefully now Patrick can start to give me some feedback on the work that he's done and some information that he might be able to share with me that might help me get this report together. You'll see we're actually running you may have noticed from the interface that we're actually using our link on-premise deployment, and it's integrating with the Office 365 as well. So again, that's just a simple integration that doesn't require any additional work. The two products are just linked together. So Patrick's got a few documents he can share about email management, so that's going to be helpful as well. So it might be a good starting point for an internal report that he's done. So I can probably make reuse of that. Yeah, that sounds good. So I'll just see if Patrick can share that with me. So what Patrick's going to do is he's stored that in his OneDrive, which is his own personal document storage area in SharePoint. Internally, we use that for our work in progress, our draft documentation, and also our business content that isn't specifically related to our department or our team. So it might be your personal development plan. It might be some information that you're particularly interested in to do with your role at work that doesn't necessarily relate to the team. But it's just an area where you can store content and manage content, a bit like your own personal drive that you might have within your organisation. So Patrick's got that in his OneDrive, and he's going to share it directly from there, which means I'll get an email through to my directly through to my Outlook client. Now that should come through in just a second. You've probably guessed we are actually doing this in real time, and it's not recording. So I have had better ideas for a Monday morning, but I think it's all going to go okay. Oh, Patrick, sorry, just a message. Okay, so that's coming through to me now. Now I'll show you again, but when we move further on the demo, I'll give you, I'll be able to show you how Patrick shared that directly from within SharePoint. I'll come back to that in a second, see when it comes through. One of the other options I've got on here is to actually click through to Patrick's profile if I want to. So if I want to see a bit more information about what Patrick had been working on, who he was involved with, what he specialised in, just general sorts of information, then I can come through to his SharePoint profile. Some of this is pulled in from Active Directory, so some of this is provided by the IT systems we've already got, and some of it is supplemented directly by Patrick himself. So that doesn't seem to be coming through as you'd expect on a live demonstration. These things are going to happen. So what I'll do is I'll go directly to Patrick's profile, and from there I can actually go to his OneDrive if I want to anyway. So if I go to his document area here, he's got an area that's shared with everybody. So within here, this is where everybody can get to Patrick's documents that he's chosen to share. And in here I can see his email management document that he's chosen to share with me. I can open it up from here, and this now opens up in Office Web Apps. So Office Web Apps is a streamlined version of the normal Office client. It runs in the cloud, so you don't actually have to have the Office client installed. And whilst it's probably not the best product for creating and authoring documents, it's a fantastic solution just for viewing documents. It's very quick to load, it's very simple. I can just quickly scroll through a web-based version of that document, have a look through. Yep, that all looks good. That probably is going to be handy for me in my report. In fact, I'll probably just base my report on that. It's got a good structure to it. So I can go from here, I can go back again to Patrick's OneDrive area, and I can choose to follow that document now. So I can come back to that later on. I click on follow, I am now following that email management document, and I can get to it from my profile now when I need to go back and revisit that. I'll just check and see if that email's come through. I can show you the. That doesn't seem to have come through. What I can do is I can just. You'll see within the Office 365 environment, the main navigation is completed using the this navigation box in the top corner. So I can actually go and have a look in my web-based version of Outlook as well and just see if that email's arrived, see if I show you it there. No. That's not coming through. Never mind. Okay, so that's me got my document information that I was after from Patrick. So that's gonna help. Now the other option we've got in here as well is to have a look in Yammer. So if I go back to our search area, do my EDMS search again, you'll see here I've also got the option to search on Yammer. So Yammer is Microsoft's social collaboration tool. It's becoming an integral part of the Office 365 suite, again, and it's hosted by Microsoft. It's one of their cloud services. So if I click on here, it's going to take me across to Yammer, and it's going to do me a search for EDRMS in there as well. So I can see in there, yeah, we've got a couple of items in there based on EDRMS, just a couple of posts that people have made. I'm not sure they're going to be of a massive amount of help to me. Let's go back to the main environment, and we'll have a look and see what people have been posting within the Yammer environment, and I'll see if I can find anything else that may be of use to me. All right, okay, so now within here we can see that within the business group, Patrick's actually posted that email management document that he's been working on. So there is actually a bit of a thread around that as well. So he shared that to get some feedback from people within Yammer, and that can be done directly from the SharePoint environment. You can just choose to post a document. So this document still lives within Patrick's personal document area, but he's directly shared a link in Yammer and asked for people to feedback. So if I scroll down here now, I can see that there's a number of different replies in here. Yeah, I can see that we've got some links in here that people have been sharing. So they've had a look at the document and they've started to introduce some of their own ideas and share some other information that they've got around it. You can see here that, oh, that's interesting. So Brian said produced something around, shared something around information lifecycle. Have a look at that. Yep, again, something that's going to be useful for my document, my report that I've got to create. So I might just probably bookmark that for now and come back to that later. I've got an information governance report folder set up in my favorites. I'll save that for now. So by Patrick sharing that email management document that he's also shared with me within Yammer, you can see that people have actually started to contribute their own information and their own ideas around the same area to try and help Patrick in the work that he's doing. Now that might be because they've chosen to follow Patrick in Yammer, so they automatically see that he's posted this document, or it may be that they choose to follow these topics that Patrick's attached to the Yammer item itself. So if Simon or John or Brian were to follow the information management or the email topic within Yammer, they would automatically get alerted that Patrick had posted this, and it gives them an opportunity to come in and share any knowledge or information that they have in that particular area. So that's me got pretty much all the information I need now. Well, not all the information I need, but I've got a good bit of information now in terms of some websites. I've got some documents to refer to, and I've also got an email document that Patrick's created, which I can actually base my report on, so I can take some content and structure from that. So I'm now ready to actually start creating the document. So to do that, I'll go to my team site. Within the intranet. It's a bit choppy there. So I come to my team site, and this is a place where I can get all the templates that I need. So again, still running in the Office 365 environment. And I'm going to create a new report. So this is automatically going to, this opens up the Office, the Word client, and it will give me the template that I need to create that report. So I can now go in and start modifying this document as required. Adding in the content. I'm not going to start writing anything in here now, but you get the idea. I've been working that document for a while now, and I've also got the opportunity now to actually put some metadata into the document if I want to. So I can say if it's for a customer, if it's got a project number, the details as the author, if it's going to be reviewed by somebody, I can select them from there. It's already picked up my practice, and I've got some keywords as well. So again, these would be defined by your organisation as to what properties you wanted to capture, if you wanted to capture any at all. And these metadata values really just help either with workflow activities, help with the search results, or just provide some general context around this document. Now, because it's a draft document, I'm going to do the same as Patrick did. I'm going to save this in my personal document storage area in SharePoint. So I'm going to, directly from the Word client, I'm going to save that into my OneDrive area. So I can see I've recently been in yet work in progress. I'm going to save it in the work in progress folder, and I'm just going to call that and I'll save that. Okay, now that's saved, I can also here actually share it as well, in the same way that Patrick did, although the email didn't come through. So from within Word, I can now choose to share that directly with Patrick. So I can say, Patrick, oh, very well. Hi Patrick. Patrick started the report. That'd be good to know what you think. Cheers. Now I'll share that with Patrick. Now what that's going to do, that's going to automatically send an email to Patrick. I can now see it shared with him. It's going to send him a link to the document within my personal document storage area in SharePoint. Now that means we've not got any attachments. We're no longer attaching documents, versions of documents to emails and send them around. All we're doing is sharing the link back to its location in SharePoint. One document, one copy, and then we can work on that. So now that's now gone across to Patrick for him to have a look at, and hopefully he can give me some feedback on that. I'll just see if. Now what I'm going to show you now is a bit of co-authoring in Word. So if Patrick's got that email through, he can actually open that document up at the same time as me. So when Patrick opens that document up, and we can have more than two people, we can have multiple people working on the document at the same time. What that allows us to do is actually work on the document at the same time, so we don't have to do bit by bit. I do my bit, Patrick does his bit, I do my bit, Patrick does his bit. We can both work on the document at the same time, and as we work, our changes are synchronized together, and we can see what's happening in real time. So if Patrick's able to open that document up, we'll just see. Now what we're waiting for is just a little pop-up down here to let me know that there's now multiple people working on that document. Patrick a nudge, I'm not sure if he knows that. I'm guessing we may be having some issues with the sharing notifications coming through. Okay, cool. So you can see here now that Patrick's working on the document. Down the bottom, we can see that we've got two people working on the document now, Patrick and Alex. And Patrick started to add some comments to the document as we're going through. Every time Patrick makes an update, so we can see here we're getting a little prompt here to let us know. Every time Patrick makes an update to the document, I'll receive an update to let me know that there's some updates available. And likewise, when I'm adding content to the document, Patrick will also receive a notification. It's quite simple, you know, it just does what it's meant to do. It allows multiple people to collaborate and work on the same document at the same time. And if there are any conflicts as well, I get told of those and I get the option to resolve those conflicts. For example, if both of us started working on the same section at the same time, we both did a save, it's not just going to overwrite somebody's work with the other. It brings up a conflict resolution panel and lets me work through that. So if you can imagine that me and Patrick could work on that document now and get that to a state where I was happy with it. I'll just close that down for now. Now, if you remember that document, because it was a draft, it was a work in progress. I'd chosen to actually create that within my OneDrive folder, my own personal folder, just because I didn't feel it was really ready to share. I didn't want the rest of the team to see it yet. It was a bit of an embryotic document, and it just wasn't quite ready yet. Now that it's ready for me to, now that I'm more comfortable with it, now that some time's passed and I've had some time to work on that document, I would probably want to upload it to my team site. So we're back in the team site now where I originally created the document from, using that template, if you remember. So if I want to add the document to here, I can go into my document library. I can choose to upload the document. I can't find it. It was in my, let's move this across so you can see it. It was in my OneDrive, in my work in progress. And where is it gone? Information governance report. Okay, so you'll see here again. These are the same properties or similar properties to those that were shown in the Word client when I was filling it in. So if I want to modify any of these, I can at this point. I'll probably just leave them all for now. But again, you know, these are all metadata fields which you would decide on which were relevant to your organization if you're going to implement something like this. We are getting into the realms of document management rather than just collaboration at this point, but I'll just save that. So I have now added that to my team library. So the rest of my colleagues can now see that. So I'm no longer controlling based on who I want to share it with. I have now added it to my team site. So the rest of my colleagues can now see that. Now what I might want to do, if I just find that, information. Just get that document back. Where did I put it? In fact, forget that. Let's just get rid of that. Show you a couple of things here. So now the document's added to my team site. I can actually, this is the option we have to put a copy of this into Yammer. So, well, sorry, that's probably not the right way to phrase it. It doesn't put a copy into Yammer. It means I can directly share a link to this document within Yammer and maybe ask for some feedback. So if you can see how it's kind of panning out, I got the information together at the start, found out some people that could help. I created the document in draft form and saved it in my own personal document storage area within SharePoint. When the document was a bit more advanced, a bit more developed, I've now moved it into my team site. It's now available to my colleagues. They can see it and they can feedback on it if they want to. But from here, I can also post it to Yammer and perhaps ask for some wider feedback from the rest of the business as well. So I can either post it to the whole of the company. I'm not quite sure I want to do that. Probably what I'll do instead is pick some more targeted groups. So I'll probably send it to the business group because there seems to be a lot of interest around this sort of area within that group already. That's where, if you remember, Patrick had shared his email management report and people had been feeding back on that quite actively within there. I'll put it in the business productivity group as well. And then if I wanted to, I could actually target specific people. So I'll let Patrick know directly that I posted this. It's probably just for reference for him, but he'll get a notification to let him know that I've now posted this within Yammer. So that has now been sent to Yammer. If this was a real-world scenario, I probably would have put a bit of commentary around that, just to say, look, this is a report that I've been working on. Can people please give me some feedback? You know, I'd like to get this finished now and published out to the business. But that has now gone out to Yammer, and when people click on that document, it will open directly from this library. I've not created a copy. I've not had to email copies round. All I'm doing is just publishing the document elsewhere directly from this document library. So that's really, oops. So again, I'm not going to go through, sort of go through the steps now of completing that document. But if you imagine, I get some feedback on Yammer, I get some feedback from my team. I finish that document, and then I can publish it. And that's me gone from gathering the information around that area, finding people who have knowledge in that area, creating the document, drafting the document, and finishing the document. Now that document might never actually leave my my team site because it's only really relevant for me and my colleagues. However, if I did want to share it with a broader audience, again, I could just do that directly from here. If I just go into the options for this particular document, come down here. In fact, that's how it used to work. I always get confused with that. If I select that document, beg your pardon, and go up to Files, I've got Send To option up here. So if I want to, directly from this library, I can share that by publishing it to our intranet document center. So it would take it from within my team site, where I just work generally with my colleagues, and it would move it to our intranet document center, where it's then available for the rest of the organization. Now there might be some workflow associated with that, whereby when it hits that document center, there's some sort of approval process. So you can have some controls around this. It's not just not just everybody can share everything, unless of course you want them to. But this just gives me a simple option to send to our intranet document center, or perhaps publish to our extranet. So if I wanted to get information or feedback or deliver it to a third party outside the organization, again, just a simple click of a button would allow me to do that, providing the controls, the governance, the configuration was all set up to allow it. I can have multiple options in here, as you can see, to send that document elsewhere. And when I click on this, just to show you, just as an example, I've clicked that. That has now sent the document over to our intranet document center, where it will be published to the rest of the business. Just let this spin around. And it's completed successfully. Now what that's actually done as well is, you'll see this, the icons changed slightly. It's left a link behind. So it's picked up the document, it's moved it from within my team site, moved it to our intranet document center, but it's left a link reference behind, so I know that it was here before and I can still get to it if I need to. So again, just kind of showing you the evolution, working with somebody to create a piece of content, beginning to end, and basically share it with the rest of the business. Now it was quite rushed. We're trying to cram that into quite a short space of time, but hopefully that shows you just working within Office 365 and Link, and the majority of what I showed you there was available on premise as well, and using a bit of Yammer for feedback, etc. Then it's a nice simple process to get from beginning to end to be able to complete that task. The last thing I want to show you on here was something that might happen when you complete the task like that. You might be, for example, in this example, I kind of get a feel that there's a bit of a community in Visual around information management, around information governance. I can see that people are contributing on Yammer to that topic. I can see that people exist within the organisation who have specialties in that area. And I'm thinking maybe it'd be good to create a place for people to come together and discuss that sort of information. Now I've got Yammer, that's great, so I could create a Yammer group in there. The other option I've got is to actually create a group in Office 365. Now this is specific to Office 365 and you wouldn't have this functionality on premise. But if I come up to here and go to my OneDrive area, again, as I said before, my sort of personal document storage area within SharePoint or Office 365, I have the option here to create some groups. I'm already a member of some groups here. I'm going to come here and I'll run through what the group is for you once I've created that. So here I'm going to create a group. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Information Governance. A group to discuss ideas and best practice governance and information management. I won't worry about the typing. I'm going to say that's a public group, so anybody can see that group. And I'm going to say that anybody add to that group will get an email to let them know. So I'm going to create that group. And like I say, I'll show you what a group is in a minute. I'll show you this sort of functionality you get. Add some members in. Well, I know Patrick's interested. I also seem to remember that Brian Kane had been feeding back on that Yammer post, and John Smith as well. So let me just add those guys in. So I've now created an information governance group in SharePoint, in Office 365. Now a group is actually, like I said before, a specific piece of functionality for Office 365, but it is an amalgamation of Outlook or Exchange, so basically email functionality you would expect to see, and SharePoint. So you get a stripped down version of SharePoint and some of the core functionality of Outlook, and it brings them together to create this group. Now the reason you would create a group as opposed to a more traditional team site for those of you who use SharePoint is just because it's a bit lighter touch, it's simpler, there are less configuration options, so it's easier for people to administer. You can't apply sort of a lot of governance and control over a group. You can't have full document records management functionality in a group, but it's just a nice simple way for people to come together and share information and ideas. And I'll just quickly show you the sorts of functionality you'd expect to see in here. So within a group, we have the option to have a conversation. So this just gives us some threaded email conversations. We can have it's probably easier if I show you up here. We have a calendar. We can look at the members of the group. We can share files, and we have a notebook. So let me go through this. So in here, I can have a calendar. So I might want to schedule some meetings in here. By default, I get my, oops, sorry, let me go back to that again. Sorry, that was my fault. I was going to go into the calendar. So I've got my information governance calendar, so I could schedule some meetings in here, so we can have some monthly meetings around this topic. And I can go through that, say it's a monthly meeting, every fourth Monday for 30 minutes at 4 o'clock. Now that's going to go into everybody's calendar who's involved in the group. I can start to upload some documents to this group by going to the files area. So it might be that I happen to know that I've got some good content, or I've downloaded some good best practice information around information governance as part of report writing that I want to share with people. I mean, I'll just pick anything at the moment, just upload to there. Just to show you, very simple. I don't get prompted for metadata or anything like that. It's just simply a file store. I can't do any more of the more advanced SharePoint document management options around that. Conversations. The conversations are currently driven by email. So when you start a conversation within your group, it's actually a threaded email conversation. As part of the Microsoft roadmap, they're actually going to bring Yammer conversations into that as well. So it's going to merge email and Yammer conversations together in one place. That is on the roadmap, and at the moment, it's just really around email. So here's my information governance introductory email. So let's just say, hi all, welcome to the group. I've scheduled some meetings. Not a great message, but you get the idea. And then finally in here, we've got a notebook. So in the group, I've also got a OneNote notebook. Some of you may or may not use notebook at the minute, the desktop version of OneNote at the moment, but it's a great way just for ad hoc note taking. So I could just say in here, new section name, let's just call that meeting minutes and agendas. And I'll just say there, Feb 2015. And I can start to put together in here now our agenda. I'm not going to start writing actual agenda item 2, etc., etc. And then people can, during the meeting, directly update this notebook with any minutes from the meeting as well, and it's all stored within that central place in that information governance group. This is how we see OneNote being used most often at the moment. I mean, you can use the notebook for any sort of ad hoc note taking, but most often we see people using it for this sort of thing, for managing meeting agendas and minutes and that sort of thing. Click here to go back to the group. So we've had a place to store documents for this group, we've had a place to have conversations with the group, and we've got a notebook where we can store information for the group, and also we've got that calendar where we can schedule any events for this particular group. Now, anybody who's been invited to be part of this information governance group, when they go to their OneDrive area, they will get this. They will have it showing up within their list of groups at the side. It just takes a little while to come through when the timer jobs run. So that's just a sort of another sort of add-on to the idea of this collaborative workforce, the ability to quickly create little communities within the Office 365 environment where you can share the ideas, where you can share information, where you can plan meetings and that sort of thing. Again, like I said before, it is just an Office 365 bit of functionality. I'm not sure if that's going to be something that's going to become available for on-premise solutions. So that kind of brings us to the end of the demo. I just want to quickly hop back to a couple of slides now, if that's all right. I will go back. So the presentation's just loading up, won't be a minute. Okay, so can everybody see the slides again now? If you just put a message in the inbox. Perfect. So in terms of how Visual can help, well, what we can do is we can arrange a follow-on pre-sales meeting after the webinar, where we can actually come on site. We can run through some demos similar to what you've seen today, and discuss maybe some use cases which are particularly relevant to you and your organisation, and talk about how some of the functionality that's available, whether it is Office 365 or whether it is just on-premise, applies to your organisation. On the back of that meeting, we can then put together a design and planning agenda for you, so we can start to talk about what would be involved, the steps that would be involved, the people that would be involved in actually starting to design something around this collaborative workforce for your organisation, and we can put that into a proposal for you. And as part of that proposal, we can also provide a rough order of magnitude, so really an estimate of what would be involved in delivering this solution end-to-end within the business. Just to give you an overview of the design and planning that we do as part of this collaborative workforce engagement. We would work with you to identify some key user groups within the business and the common tasks that they create, and that's more commonly known as developing personas. So we need to understand who's going to be the types of people who are going to be using these systems and what their main objectives are, what the bits we need to absolutely focus on. We would then be doing a requirements definition and more focused workshops around functionality and doing some knowledge sharing with people within the business about how the Microsoft products can be used for collaboration. We then create some design documentation. So we start by creating you a high-level design, which basically covers all the design decisions that we've made. And it's not a technical document, really. It's much more of a business-focused document that just describes what your collaborative solution would look like. We can then draft a low-level design, which is a bit more technical, which talks about how we'll configure the system to meet your requirements. And then we'll develop a proof of concept. So we can stand up over quite a short period of time, something tangible, something that people can get their hands on, people can touch and feel and start to feedback on. It wouldn't be the finished solution, but it just means as part of the design process, rather than just having a document, you actually get something something real, something that people can interact with and start to feedback on. We can then review that proof of concept with you and basically iron out and update any design decisions that we've made when people have actually had a chance to see what we're suggesting. The final stage really would then be to move on to a normal sort of delivery. So we would deploy, test, and operate within the organisation once you were happy with the design. So if anybody is interested in a follow-up on-site meeting after this webinar, more than happy to come and speak to you about those different areas, and one of our regional account managers would be in touch, or you can contact us directly to arrange that. David, did you want to talk about the managed services side of things?
Yeah, let me take over very, very quickly, Alex. Thank you very much for that presentation. There's lots of really, really interesting stuff in there for me. Obviously, Alex has just run through what the next steps would be if you wanted to look at collaborative working and looking to implement something like this. If one of your concerns at the moment might be, collaborative working looks fantastic, we simply don't have the skills in-house to be able to either implement it or support it in the long term. Again, this is where Visual can help. We offer a number of kind of different workload support options, be it our standard support, which gives you reactive telephone-based support during normal working hours, so between kind of the hours of 8 and 6. So if anything breaks, you can give our support team based in Stafford a call and they'll be more than happy to try and fix it. Alternatively, we've got our premium support. So where we're starting to use things like SharePoint for collaborative working, and it becomes very, very business critical then. What we find is it's often better if we can identify an issue before it's happened. So with our premium support, not only do you get reactive support 24/7, but you also get proactive support where we'll monitor your servers for you. You'll get a daily health check, you'll get application monitoring, you'll get security patch management as well. So it's really, really critical if the Microsoft systems are business critical for you, that you've got the right levels of support in place, and that you can be sure that if anything was to go awry, you've got someone like Visual that you can turn to who are experts in supporting Microsoft technologies. The other thing worth mentioning is if you're looking for a hybrid approach and you're perhaps looking to use some of the functionality from Office 365, Office 365 is an evergreen product. So you're fortunate in that you get all the latest updates, all the latest versions of it, and all the new functionality. Now, there can sometimes be hundreds of changes per month, and what we can offer is an Office 365 service maximizer, where we send somebody like Alex on site for a day, and they'll run through all the changes that have been implemented, how it could affect you as a business, what the additional functionality could mean, and again, really make sure that you're getting the most out of your Microsoft investment. We can also support you with Office 365, with our Office 365 Service Manager. So we sometimes find that people perhaps don't know whether they should be contacting Microsoft about issues with Office 365. There may be things like single sign-on troubleshooting that could be causing people a few headaches. We can help set up federations with external domains and converting mailboxes to shared resources. So there's lots and lots that we can help with, both around kind of on-premise support. We can do managed 365, or if you're looking for a fully outsourced service, be it perhaps on application, so you don't have SharePoint skills in-house, so you may want a managed SharePoint service that would allow us to not only monitor and support your services, but also help you with things like SharePoint configuration, SharePoint permissions, and SharePoint content management. You can rest assured that Visual really do have the skills in-house to be able to help you. And we're working at the moment with lots of kind of big customers to do fully managed services, to do individual support workloads. So again, if there's anything that you feel that Visual can help support you with through Microsoft technologies, then please feel free to give us a call. If anybody wants to get in touch with me directly to discuss it, my email address is davida@visual.com. I know Alex has just been answering a few questions through IM, so hopefully everybody can see the answers there. If there is any more questions that anybody's got, please feel free to drop a message into the IM box now, or if I ask Chrissy just to take everybody off mute, and if anyone does have any questions, please don't hesitate to shout out. Thank you very much.
Feel free to drop an IM in the window if you've not got anything specifically to ask over voice, or if you want to follow up by email later on, I'm always happy to respond that way as well.
Again, if anyone's listening on the recording of this webcast, please feel free to drop any questions through to inquiries@ritual.com, and they'll always be forwarded to the relevant person for you. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on today's call. If there's no more questions, and again, if you think of something after the fact, please just drop an email through to inquiries@ritual.com. Thanks everyone for joining us.